Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about the Hill Amplifier. The Hill Amplifier is an amp I'm really happy with so far, and I think it's going to be rather simpler to build compared to, at least compared to Pit. But let's get right into it. The Hill Amplifier is going to have a total of 17 structures, 12 which is going to be the surrounding walls, 2 which is going to be the slants, and then 3 which is going to be the little rooftop over here. Now on the roof I have a platform over here, right? So I'm going to use a jump pad, and this is going to be where I'm going to be camping while I'm defending here, or when I'm kind of want to place AFK, you know. So I just like to stand up here, and when it comes to Taker Wave on wave 19, which is always on this amplifier, I can be up here and chill, right? I can just chillax, right? Which is nice. So that is the amp design, and I'm going to talk about the amp block off, right? So there's going to be a block off right on this amplifier, and notice over here there is not a tile, right? So on previous designs I put a tile over here, right? And this would act as more block off, right? But the problem is that this also made this entire area connect to the amplifier, which was not a problem previously, but since the 11.3 patch, the Smashers have a longer charge distance. And this particular charge distance would let them charge everything, and this included this area over here, which is connected to the amplifier, because all this area is part of the amp now. So the Smashers would charge everything that is connected to the amp, including this, which is bad. So I had to remove this floor structure to prevent the Smashers from charging, right? So with that in mind, you should be able to still have additional block off over here without the Smashers charging this area. Okay, so let's get into the Hill West. And the Hill West is a little bit easier compared to the Hill South. And I have a lobber shield over here, and I'll explain that shortly. But as you can see in the front over here, there's going to be 3 layers. 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3, right? And in the front over here, I have wall launchers. This is just to reset the pathing of the assassin husk. This should pretty much have like almost no usage on them, right? But it's just that in case that there's an assassin husk that wants to hit these walls, I'll just reset their pathing and they won't hit them again, right? And I'm going to have some wall launchers over here and a block off. So this block off over here is to prevent this spawn from coming in this way, right? Because the spawn comes in from this way, this missed this entire recycling area, right? And I want them to utilize the recycling area so that they can buy them. I can buy time for the Smashers to come up over here to be staggered. Okay, so this wall launcher is going to have 2 times impact, single reload, double reload, 0 impact, although it wouldn't flash back at the beginning, right? And then this wall launcher is going to have double reload, 0 impact, 2 times impact, single reload, 2 times impact, single reload, and 2 times impact, single reload, right? And this is so that we can recycle them all the way back here, and then they'll take the same pathway over here to be recycled over and over again, right? If the husks do make it over here, and then they're going to be greeted by wall launchers. All these wall launchers are 3 times impact and double reload, right? All of them, I think, except for this one, which is going to be 5 times impact to super launch them into the lava. Okay, and this wall light to 2 times reload and 3 times impact. And there's going to be half low walls all the way across over here to the end, right? Except for this one, because there's no way a Smasher is going to make it over here without charging. Okay. And with that in mind, I'm going to talk about the lobber shield over here. Whoops. So the lobber shield on the Hill West over here is going to be a little bit big, but this should counter pretty much all the lobber flinger problems you're going to have. Alright, so what I'm going to do is start on this platform over here. So this platform over here, I'm going to start over here, right? So from this platform, I go 3 up, and then right next to it, 4 up, and then in the middle, 2, 2, and then 2 across from there, right? So if you can kind of break that up, 3, and then 4, and then 2, 2, and then 2 across, right? And then right next to this is going to be a 45 slant, right? And another 45 slant, and then there's going to be a slant over here and then slant up there, right? 2 of them over here, just 1 up this one, and then just 1 over here. And I'm going to have 2 slants on these wall launchers over here, not connected to the other lava shield, right? And what this is going to do is that if a flinger is in this position at the very corner over here, and they start to lob, right, use their lava shots, right, they won't do that because of the lava shield over here, right? And we don't want them to, because they might hit this floor over here, which then would break the floor tile, right? If they break the floor tile from the lava shots of the flinger, and that can cause trouble because, well, there's no way to path to the amplifier anymore. Okay, so that should take care of all the lobber and flinger problems, right? And the flinger, keep in mind that the flingers can fling from this over here, right? They can fling from here, right? So this should prevent them from doing so over here, right? And there are other flinger spots, like such as over there, right? But to be honest, they'll never path over there unless they're forced to, right? From a wall launcher, okay? So like, for example, if they're forced to from this wall launcher, then yes, they can fling over there. But they're never going to make it to that position because there's too much recycling going on at the beginning, right? Now, that should be the hill west over there, right? And then we can talk about the hill south, right? So the hill south is actually what's going to really heavily utilize this block off over here, right? So we have these flat floors all the way across on the bottom, right? Underneath there's a flat floor. So there's going to be 7 flat floors in total over here. So there's kunai storm, 3 across there, 4 across here, pyramid, and then a full sandwich over there without the half floor. All right, and there's going to be walls all across here, right? So that I think that there's another thing pointing to note is that this is only a total of 5 layers for the hill west, right? And the reason why there's only a total of 5 layers and we can still get away with it is because this pathing over here for some reason is considered long pathing, right? This is not considered regular pathing, right? Like if it was connected like this, then yeah, we'd be screwed, right? But it's just that this in particular is considered long pathing, right? And that's why I was able to get away with just going all the way over there. I think a lot of people are able to get away with Hill West having so little layers. Okay, so for the Hill South over here, right, I'm going to go over there. And as you can see, I have a kind of like a diagonal pathing going on over here, right? And then it goes right into straight across east, right? And then I start doing the smasher recycling right away. Right, so I want this smasher recycling to start as soon as possible for the hill cell, because if we're too close to the amplifier, right, then they're going to start charging. So they're going to start charging about this position over here for the smasher, right? Once they meet over here, they're going to start charging. Okay. So that's why I want to avoid that from happening, is to recycle them very early on. Excuse me. So let's talk about this over here. So this wall over here is, I think it's just a regular 3 times impact, double reload, 3 times impact, double reload, and this is going to be a double reload, 0 impact. Okay, double reload is 0 impact. This is going to be 4 times impact, single reload, right? With this lobber shield over here, I'll explain. 0 impact, double reload, 3 times impact, double reload, 3 times impact, double reload. So all these across are going to be 3 times impact, double reload, right? And there's going to be 3 tar pits at the top over here. And then this wall launcher is going to be 3 times impact, double reload, because in case that there's a this wall launcher launched them all the way over here, right? And they want to break this wall over here for whatever reason, and then this would launch them all the way back over there. Right? I think instead I might no, actually no, I'll leave it. I think I'll leave it. I think this is okay. All right. So with that in mind, I will talk about this bottom part over here. And this bottom part is also something really critical about the hill south, right? Because a lot of times if you just built walls all around here, so let's suppose we just built walls all around here, right? And try to just box them in. What's going to end up happening is that these husks, right, then when they launched over here, they're going to be hogging the wall, and they're going to start banging on the wall. They're going to start banging on the wall. And you're like, why are they banging on the wall, right? So to prevent that from happening, what you're gonna do is gotta actually open up this area up. You gotta really open it up, right? So you open it up, so you land in and you make them land in such a position where they're not right next to a wall, which they can path on the other side of, right? So over here, they're gonna be hit by this, right? That's gonna stop them from going any further east, right? And they're gonna drop straight down. They're gonna have some inertia going east, which is gonna land over here, right? They're not hogging the wall, and they're gonna just go path over here, right? So in this case, they're not gonna actually hit the wall because they're not hogging it. All right. So as long as they don't hog the wall, you should be good, right? Same thing over here. I'm gonna launch them over here, right? That thing is gonna block them, and then deer land over here, and then should be fine, right? And then they're not gonna be path. Since none of this is gonna be leading to anywhere, there is no reason for them to actually break on these walls, right? They're not gonna break on the walls. You should be good to go. Okay. So if you have this, then you should be fine with the husk breaking the walls. They wouldn't have that problem. As well, this would also act as the lava protection, flinger protection. Another thing to note, which I never mentioned in my lava video, is that what's going to be important for your hill, it's going to be important to have your hill design such that they can't fling from the lava, right? Because lava flingers can actually path towards your hill and start flinging from there, right? So you really want to avoid that from happening, and the best way to do that is to make sure you have a sufficient lava shield all across from there. So you do need a lava shield for your hill south for the lava area, okay? So the best way I did that is to make sure that I can combine both of them together, which this can be as a lava shield for the hill south and for the lava at the same time, which this does as such over here. You can see. Now this wall and this wall are going to be very critical to prevent the smashers when they do get recycled down here to path in this area. If they path in this area over here, what's going to end up happening is that they might end up wanting to break the stair over here, which leads to disaster, right? So make sure they don't path on the same way as this. As long as they don't path the stairway like this way, then you should be good to go. And the best way to counter that is to simply put these walls around it. Try to avoid putting walls around this like this, right? Just put them like this and you should be fine, right? So don't box it in, right? But just have the pathing itself blocked off, okay? Another thing to note too is that this particular wall does not have a wall light, right? I could put a wall light here, but what's up happening is if you do put a wall light here, you might get phasing, right? And the phasing, instead of them landing over here, they actually land inside here, which could be a smasher, and if it's a smasher, then this also could lead to trouble, right? So I just want to avoid that wall light for stability reasons, right? If phasing wasn't a thing, I'd have that wall light there, no problem. Okay, so that is that with the tunnel on this over here. And I'm going to talk about the block off, right? So the block off is going to be kind of thick, a little bit thick, as you can see. You can probably do a kunai storm, right? Sandwich, 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 all the way across, right? All the way across, right? So I think the best way to design this, in my opinion, right, is to kind of see what's going on with how many sandwiches, right? So start with building the box sandwiches, right? So I have one box sandwich there, 3 box sandwiches there, 3 box sandwiches, 2 box sandwiches, and then 1 box sandwich. So 1 box sandwich, 3 box sandwiches, 3 box sandwiches, 2 box sandwiches, 1 box sandwiches. Build those first, and then finish off with the slants at the end, right? And then you can finish off the slants at the end like this. All right. And then from there, we can just have this one right at the very first beginning, right? So wall, flat floor, and then slant, and then you should be good to go, right? I think this shouldn't be too hard to replicate in terms of block off, right? But you do need this many layers. So I'll just give you an example. So suppose a husk is on this particular wall, right? Is on this particular wall, right? So this particular wall, and they need to path how many tiles east? 1, 2, 3, 4. So they need to path 4 tiles east to get to the amplifier. Okay. So then from there, exactly how many layers is that going to be? So 4 tiles times 3 plus 1, that's going to be 13 layers. So let's count if we have 13 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 layers. And then I think inside of here is a 14 layers, which is okay. So I'll accept that. I think I'm one tile over, but that's okay, right? And it seems like for some reason on the hill south and the hill west over here, this acts as long pathing. But for some reason on the smashers, it doesn't act as long pathing over here for the hill south. I'm not sure why. It seems like I actually do need this many layers for the hill south. But the hill west, I don't need so many layers. Really wonky. I'm not sure why. But yeah. And then of course over here on this tile, right? On this tile over here, you're going to need 5. You're going to need 3 more additional layers, which it does have. 1, 2, 3, right? So this meets that requirement. And the further more you go west, so if they path west, then they're going to need less layers, right? I think approximately 3 less layers, right? So this will require like 6 less layers, so you don't need so many over there. But yeah, I think that should be block off in this area over here, okay? Now the lobber shield, right? So the lobber shield is going to be also rather important because you want to make sure this lobber shield does not connect to the block off to prevent any possible land bridging. Alright, so this over here is part of the lobber shield in case there is a flinger / lobber in this position over here. Right, so this is just to protect that. And I'm going to start this lobber shield from this over here, right? So this should be just right under this lamp. Yep, right under this lamp. So this over here. So from the tile right under the slant, I'm going to go 3 tiles over here. There's 3 tiles over here, right? And then just have a 2x4 slant thing over here with 1 sticking out like that because it's in the direction of the actual amplifier, as you can see over here, right? So with that, you should be good to go with the lobber shield, okay? And I think that is it for the lobber shield, right? Just make sure you have this lobber shield over here too for both the hill south and the lava, right? As shown over here. And there's going to be one more very important thing over here. So this is going to be for flingers, right? Because I don't want the flingers to pathing, or at least I don't want them forced to be pathing in my tunnel, right? So I'm going to have a double layer over here, just 1, 2, just like this, right? And so I can path them over here. Now, what's going to end up happening is that the wall launcher is going to just launch them all the way there, and they're going to take a very long pathway to get back, right? So it's going to buy a lot of time. So these 2 wall launchers are double reload, 3 times impact, and this is single reload, 4 times impact, right? These are in the tar pits. Okay, and the slants are going to be very important because they can actually fling from this position over here. So to prevent them from flinging, you just have these slants. Okay, but they can't fling from this position over here. So this position they can't, but this position they can. Alright. Excuse me. So that is the flinger loop over there. And inside over here there is a little broadside on the hill west over here. This is just in case if there's a phaser. You just bang them if they're phased. Yeah, I think that should be it for the hill amplifier. It shouldn't be too complicated for the hill west. Hill south is a little bit more tricky, but I think overall it's still not too bad, right? There's a little details here and there are going to be important, right? And I think the most important detail, first off, is going to be the amp block off over here is not connected to the amp itself. Another detail is going to be the lobber shield. Make sure your lobber shield is sufficient, right? On both sides over here, especially for the hill west, and the walls on the hill south over here. You just make sure that they're far enough, right, so that they're not going to hit them, right? And make sure you drop the husk straight down, and you should be good to go without relying on any sound walls. Okay, and make sure your pathing over here is early on so that you can start recycling the smashers, right? Because you really want to make sure you start recycling the smashers early, because once they get in this position, they can start charging, right? But I think that should be it overall for this video. All right, I hope you took something out of it, and I'm probably gonna release a ridge video sometime by the end of the week, possibly. We shall see. And for those curious people that are looking at Devil North, right, I'm still working on possible ideas for Devil North to see what I'm happy with, right? Some of them are going to be expensive, some of them are going to be cheaper, and this is like seeing maybe if I can path them over to the middle, and then I can start launching up here, right? Maybe I can start launching them up here. Maybe that could work, right? And so far it's been working-ish, right? It's been working-ish. I say ish because I still had to have them pathing on the east side over here, right? I still need pathing on the east side. But yeah, I'll have to keep experimenting with the Devil North to see what would be the most appropriate, and also what wouldn't be too expensive, because some of these builds are just getting a little bit expensive. But yeah, I think that's it for this video, guys. Alright, have fun building.